How you doing? We got something a little different today. This is, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's kind of like Qollorette. I'm not sure. It's a Lithuanian company. Their boxes say mechanical 3D puzzle on the side. I have a few of these, and I actually feel guilty that I haven't reviewed any of them yet. And this one just showed up today. So, like, some other ones that have been in my closet for a while are still not reviewed, but this one, it's going to get reviewed tonight. And I looked online to find instructions, to load them to the iPad so we can, have them in the picture-in-picture, and I couldn't find them. But assuming there's instructions in the box, we can quickly photograph them and then we'll have the instructions back on the screen. Anyway, let's just open this box and see what we got. It's the first time I'm doing a puzzle from them, which is amazing. I don't know how. I haven't done one of theirs yet, and now the one I'm doing just showed up today. By the way, I have on order a background that's full of trees, but I don't have it yet. So I put here, this is sort of the barn background, Texas barn, whatever you want to call it, Montana, Wyoming. It's basically a cowboy barn. There's a cactus there. Maybe it's Arizona. I don't know. Nevada. Anyway, it's some sort of barn. Not perfect for the timber truck. I also have I don't want to do any good cars puzzles until I get my Route 66 backdrop. Alright, just opening it up, it looks a little bit like U-Gear's tires. The sheets are obviously much bigger. We got the wax just like U-Gear's. I don't want to compare it too much to U-Gear's. There's obviously some things in common, maybe not too much. So here's the instruction book. So I don't know why they couldn't put this online. If it's exists, but watch this. Actually, hold on a second. And then watch. So, just to give you an idea here. So now I just snapped a quick picture of that instruction book. So, that's the plan. I'm just going to snap picture of these first two pages, and then they're going to come on the screen in a minute, and that's how we're going to do it. See if I can get that lined up perfect. I don't think I got it perfect. Let me try again. Third time's a charm. See, this is why people got to put their puzzles online. Because they got to put their instructions online. Because me taking the picture, it's slowing me down, and plus it's just not as good. Alright, so we got instructions here. There's instruction 1. D5 and 2 D6s. But we haven't even unboxed this yet, so let's take a look. Here's the wax. And then we've got how many sheets in here. Yeah, the coloring looks different on different cameras, right? I gotta figure that out. I'm still I still don't even really have this set up fully yet. I have the microphone, which is the big thing I've been waiting for, and I've got the YOLO box, which is another thing. But I still haven't quite mastered how to use all these cameras yet. And the reason I need to master them is to get them to all look the same. I actually watched some videos of people, and they were and these are professionals who work in the industry, and they're oh, how do you get them to all look the same? Well, you buy 3 of the same camera. I don't have that. It's not my style. As you see in the gym, I buy every set of dumbbells is from a different company, and in this little desktop stage here, every camera's from a different company. That's kind of my style. So I'll need to learn how to set up cameras to get them looking the same. This one on right now, it looks like it's a little over bright. Let me see if I can, bear with me here. Let's see if we can work on the brightness right now. I'm not sure we can, especially with that overlay. I'm going to go to the version without the overlay just so I can see what I'm looking at and move that out of the way. Okay, there we go. So it's like too light, right? So what does that mean? How do you make it non-light? Oh, by the way, I could flip it upside down. Like, does that look better? Like, just to distinguish camera 1 from camera 2? Like, to make it upside down. That was actually suggested to me. But if I do that, then is the instructions going to be upside down? No, the instructions are fine. All right, let's try that. Let's try using this camera upside down. Just because then it'll look different from camera 1. Like camera 1 and camera 2. Because, like, let's say, let me just flip it back to, like, regular. So that's regular camera 2. And this is regular camera 1. And they look like different, like one's over the shoulder and one's overhead. But they also look kind of alike. Whereas if I flip this thing, this camera, why didn't it flip? Oh, there, we flipped the camera. Now it looks very different. Let's try that just for tonight and see how we like it. All right, we still didn't solve the color issue because I don't know anything about cameras. Does the exposure have anything to do with the color? The picture. Let's do that. Got to have something to do with the picture, right? The brightness, maybe? Like lower the brightness? How much lower? All right, let's compare that to 1. All right, now 1 looks better. All right, so that wasn't really what we meant to do. Contrast. What is gamma? I don't know. Hue. Oh, saturate. This is going to help us. It's going to... I'm not sure what it's going to do, but I think it's going to help. This is having no effect. Alright, saturate wasn't the answer. Do we already do play with the brightness? I don't know, it's like getting brighter when I put the number lower. You would think higher would be brighter. Alright, let's try that. Well, the other camera looks 100 times better. This one looks better. This one looks bad. Sharpness. I don't know. What do you think? I think that you can't even see these sheets. This is something is like over. Let's try the contrast. Let's raise the contrast. All right, there we go. So really we needed to lower the contrast. When it flipped over, that's when it started looking good. So where does it start looking bad? By 6, it already looks bad. All right. Okay, let's just try that for tonight. We can't work on this one thing forever. We're just like, we need to start the puzzle here. We haven't even fully unboxed the puzzle. All right, let's get back to work. It's enough fooling around. Wax, instructions. We got some instructions on the overlay. Got a bunch of boards. I see there's a gap in the boards there. You see that little gap? What's that all about? I don't know. Let's find out. There's a gap in the boards for some reason or another. So there's probably something in there. Well, there's the sandpaper. Oh, this is weird, seeing my hands reach in from the opposite direction. I may not be able to stick with this. I may have to flip this camera back. Or just not look at it. Just not look at the monitor when we're on this view. Because this is too weird. You know what? Is this breaking the 180 rule? Like, let me just see. Alright, here's, let's say, I got my hand on the right. And then I go to HDMI, or I go to camera 1. Oh, my hand's still on the right. No, now the hand's on the left. I think we got to flip the camera back. It's too weird. We're flipping it back. Okay, experiment time is over. We're just going back to how we were yesterday. All right, so sheet 1 is tires. Sheet 2. Am I working from the tires are usually last. No, that definitely says A on it. This is the A sheet, so the tires are first. All right, so sheet A, tires. Sheet B, I see some hood pieces. Sheet C, I see more hood. I almost accidentally popped one out. Sheet D, I believe this is where we're starting. Sheet D. Look, I see some side panels, and I see some crane pieces. Sheet E, more side panels. I popped a piece right out. Well, they pop out very easy, obviously. What are these pieces? Crane pieces, wheel wells. They could be wheel wells. This thing is, it's like what, like an 18-wheeler? I mean, I see 5 wheel wells, but if it's like the ones in the back are all doubled, I'm not sure. Sheet G. This is the crane. Where the crane operator sits. So what was that gap in the sheets? That was nothing. That was just a dark sheet. And then this is odds and ends. I do see some H's, which we were waiting for. But I also see C's and B's. And this is 8. Sheet 8. Which is interesting because, okay, yeah, sheet 1. So I was calling them A and B, which is consistent with the pieces on them. But in the upper right, they have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So we're going to get started. So we need sheet D to get started. All right, let's do it. Sheet D it is. We need pieces 2 6s and a 5. Right, 2 6s and a 5. That overhead is way over bright. By the way, that's another thing that just showed up, that camera. That's like a spy camera. It turned out to be. I didn't know it when I clicked on it. It was claiming it was all about live streaming, but when I see it, it's like spy camera. It has 4K picture, but it only outputs 1080. And the reason that is the lens like comes out of the front of it, and it's like has an 8-meter microphone, and then it has like a 180 field of vision. But then you zoom or crop or point, like it's a pan tilt zoom, but it does it all digitally. Really, it just has one huge field of vision that it just, crops from that. A huge field of vision and 4K picture, and it just crops all of that. So I'm calling it a spy cam. But it's also good for the overhead cam because I wanted a bigger picture on the overhead so you can see everything on the desk. And, you know, compared to like the regular view. And we've already achieved that, like right now, today, what you see. But really, this camera can go much wider. Like it's zoomed in now. Like if I zoom it out, you're going to see like the whole room. Which means that spy cam is seeing all that stuff right now. All right, we need the sandpaper already. You know, I was doing instruction and days, but I feel like, should I do instruction in pieces? Would that be more fun? I think I'm going to change that. Yeah, because then this will be 3 pieces. That's going to be more fun. I'm going to change the scoreboard right now. So instead of tracking day and instruction, I'm going to track instruction and piece. All right. Did that change? Yeah. All right. So this is instruction 1, but now we're up to piece 3. Right. It still calls it, it's weird. It's like still says team 2, but I believe it's, yeah, it's piece. All right. So instruction 1, 3 pieces. Okay. Have we sufficiently, you know... Okay, it's only been 16 minutes. It's not too bad. I'm just checking, does that jive? That doesn't jive with the YOLO box, which means I probably spent 7 minutes setting up the YOLO box, because YOLO box is saying 23 minutes. No, YOLO box is saying 17 minutes. I don't know where I got that. You know what? 23 is the time. Military time. Okay, there you go. Instruction 1, 3 pieces. That's done. All right, let's check out. Wait a second. Is this going to be one of those? Where's instruction 2? Oh man, instruction 2 is way down here. So this is one of those books where instruction 1 is really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, I just have the picture open, but I need to get a Telestrator app, because then I can like circle this stuff, because you can't otherwise see where my finger is unless I point a camera at the iPad. So anyway, I got to get a Telestrator app, but it looks like there's an arrow here. So this is really like 1B. So we need D2 and D8. So that's going to be 2 more pieces. All right, D2 and D8. Where are those pieces? All right. Well, there's a lot of D2s. There's 2, 3, 4. There's like 5 D2s. And there's 4 D4s. Where is the D8? What is D8? D8 looks like a little button. There's a little, there we go. There's D8. All right. So let's see what we got to do here with this. I'm going to put the, you know what? We're supposed to get 2 each of these because we got to do both sides. We need another D2 and another D8. Because we actually have to put it on both sides. And I don't know if it really matters yet. Like I can't really, like now it's, I can't tell which is, you know, there was like a middle piece and then we stuck 2 pieces on, but now they're together. I can't really tell which is which. And it's not just that I can't, well, in my hand I can tell this is the big piece and these are the 2 little. But in the instruction, I can't tell. So I don't think it matters. For example, in the instruction, the notches are pointing up, but up at this point is a relative term. So I think we just have to get them both pointing the same direction, and that'll sort of be up when we decide which direction is up. But for now, we just got to get both slots on the same side. I think that's my opinion. There we go. I got to do the same thing on the other side. So I got the notches. I'm going to do the notch on the same orientation on the other side. How many pieces is this puzzle? Do we know? Anyway, I don't know if we know the total number of pieces, but the fact that... Oh man, is that yellow? Where is that yellow coming from? Is that a reflection off of this? That's weird. My fingers aren't yellow. I don't know why it looks like that on the camera. I'm telling you, that overhead camera needs work. I'm not going to use it much tonight. We're going to do a lot of camera 1 tonight. All right, there we go. What's next? We're still on instruction 1, and we have to add 2 D4s, 1 on each side, 2 D4s. All right, here's the D4s. I'm going to put 1 on each side. Did I have to? I don't think there's any direction to them. I think either way you put it on is going to work. There we go. This doesn't feel like it's, it feels like it's not staying straight. Like it's getting a little slanted. I think this wood is not as strong as the U-gears wood. I tell you, you know, everyone's doing U-gears. Nobody's doing this, these puzzles. This is Qollorette. I hate to say that, but you know, their instruction booklet is not as good. They don't have it online. And the wood is thinner. I mean, actually, the way I saw this, if you find this online, there's a lot of different companies selling it, and they'll even change the name, which means they probably have contracts where they can buy it and sell it as their own thing, which is not a great sign for the company. They're, you know, if they're not really too concerned with their branding. All right. Anyway, we're going to put on, it looks like 12 A2s right now. So we're basically going to give ourselves credit for 12 pieces here. I'm losing track. There was 7, and then we're going to add 12. So that's 19. So we're up to 19 pieces, but we're still on instruction 1. And the pieces are A's. So I got to punch them out of this board. Yeah, A2. There's the A2s. What I need is the golf tee. I don't think this came, the U-gears always comes with a tool. I don't think this one, Qollorette, came with a tool. But so when you're wooden puzzle doesn't come with a tool. You just use a golf tee. That's the tool. All right, so we need 12 A2s. All right, while I'm dealing with 12 A2s, let's grab a question. What is something you've done that your future self will thank you for? Besides what I'm doing right now? Let me leave that out. I think stability in my life, in my job, in my family. I think those are things that are going to pay off. Another one, I was thinking about this one today. And I sort of hate to say it because, alcohol companies have a right to sell alcohol. But I was watching this thing and they were talking about cognitive decline. And they were saying, like, Trump is sharp, Biden's not. And it's been said about other politicians. And I don't want to say, I'm not a doctor and you have a right to live your life however you want, but Trump doesn't drink. And I think that people who don't drink probably stay sharper and have less health problems. I don't think I'm saying anything crazy there. I respect people's rights. For example, with smoking, I think it's crazy that smokers have to go outside to smoke. I definitely respect anyone's rights. I think it's wrong to exploit people with excess, sin taxes for smoking or drinking. But when you're making your personal decisions, I think that drinking, it doesn't pay off. In terms of the fun you get from drinking versus the quality of life that you lose later on, I think later on my future self will be happy that my current self doesn't drink. And I have beer in the fridge right now. But the pace that I drink this beer at, I bought, I think it was a 12-pack of Bud Lights, Bud Light Orange actually. Bud Light Lime I like, but I just happened to get orange. They had it at Costco. I've had it for over a year. And in the middle, I might have bought some others. Like, for example, St. Patrick's Day is coming up, and I'm probably going to buy a 4-pack of Guinness. Anyway, here's the bottom line. I maybe drink 2, possibly 3 beers per month. And, maybe to some people that's excessive, but there's other people, I know there are other people who are drinking 2-3 drinks a day, and they don't think it's a problem. And it might not be a problem day to day, but it might be a cumulative problem over the course of a lifetime. I'm not a doctor. Consult your doctor. You and your doctor decide for yourself. But that's what I think. All right, so the instructions don't say anything about adding wax, but it's my policy that if you add a gear or a circle, you have to add wax because that's just how these puzzles work. They need wax. Circle, like gears, they're going to grind against other gears. Circles, they're going to spin. Like squares, they don't spin. They stay in place. That's a holding shape. A circle it can turn, 360 and then keep turning forever. Basically, you put a circle in a circle and you could turn it. So when a puzzle uses a circle, they're probably going to turn it. And if it's going to turn, you're going to want it sanded and waxed. See, there's a little line there. I might want to sand that. I'm not sure how that because they had a slit in the middle, so they all kind of line up, which is good. It makes the spot that needs to be sanded. I should have sanded first before I started waxing, but better late than never. I'll just re-wax. So basically, there's like a spot on each side. You can see that line. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. That's where it needs to be sanded. But then it needs to be waxed completely. Oh yeah, when you do a wood puzzle, of course your desk is going to be full of sawdust. That adds to breakdown at the end. The crystal puzzle that I did yesterday, that was like so easy. You know, you just it's basically your desk is completely clean when you finish it. There's nothing really going on. All right, let's look at the next instruction. Wouldn't you know it? The next instruction is a ×2. So we have to make another one of these. And then our piece total is going to go from 19 to 38. I'm not going to attempt to memorize the instructions. I'm just gonna go back to the beginning and do it again. So I'll try to do it quicker this time though. All right, so mostly I think we were working on the D sheet. So a D5 and 2 D6s. That's how we started. And that's what we're going back to right now. There's the D5. Here's 2 D6s. I already incremented the counting by ×2. I basically jumped from 19 to 38 pieces because everything from the beginning is now getting multiplied by 2. And because we're doing the instructions for a second time, I don't feel the need to comment. So let's grab the next question. What was the last time you felt truly alive? I feel alive every day. Is this a question for zombies? I mean, what is this? What kind of question is this? Felt truly alive? I mean, can they come up with some better wording? Like, what do they really mean to say here with truly alive? Do they mean like invigorated, like born again? Let's go with that, born again, because that's a real thing, right? That's like even in the Bible, people sometimes feel like born again, or not feel born again. It's like a real thing, right? Someone is like born again. So what does that mean? So I didn't want to answer feel alive, so I changed it to born again, but now I got to define born again. I just feel like it means at least something, you know? Like feel alive, I mean, I've checked my pulse, I'm alive. Born again, let's see, what does that mean exactly? It's some kind of purpose. It's not as simple as a confirmation, because you're like born and then you get confirmed, and then you're that's like your second what do they call that? You know, you're born. Let's do it using the rites. You're born, and your parents baptize you. And then you go through your confirmation, let's say when you're 12, which is basically you confirming that, yeah, your parents were right to baptize you. You want to continue in the church. And then born again, that's something even beyond. It's, I don't think I'm an expert on this. I might be, what's the term here? Speaking out of turn. But it's some type of conscious purpose. Some type of what is it? I mean, there's probably a definition, and it probably says like wipe away your sins and commit to Jesus. That reminds me, has anyone heard this phrase come to Jesus lately that everyone's using? Because I can't figure out what it means. I've listened to a lot of examples of it, but maybe it ties in with this born again theory. I don't know. Come to Jesus, what does it really mean? I'm not sure. So I've now got two phrases. I don't know what they mean. Born again and come to Jesus. Anyway, let me just go back to there felt alive since I muddled up that question. All right, so you feel truly alive, whether you want to call it coming to Jesus or born again or feel truly alive. I would say it's when you choose and follow your purpose. So, if your purpose is like, some of them are tougher than others. Like some people, they just pick a purpose that, on the one hand, there's plenty of opportunity, but on the other hand, you're never going to succeed at it. I hate to say that, but let's talk about Mother Teresa. She was comforting people essentially in a hospice. They didn't have. There were people who weren't going to live. The doctors weren't going to work on them, but she was going to make their lives comfortable. So that was a little bit easier in the sense that those people had already been given up on by the rest of the world, and all she had to do was show up every day and make them comfortable. Now, she gave away her entire life to make comfortable people whose lives were already deemed over. So some people might think that that's like she's done nothing. To other people, it's the most purpose she could ever have. But, okay, so for her personally, deriving feeling alive, well, yes, she always had something to do. I think that there's a tougher one in that equation, and that's, let's say, the doctor who was, I don't know if triaging is the right word, but the doctor who was deciding it's time for those people to go to Mother Teresa because they can't be saved. That doctor didn't get the feeling that they could, let's say their purpose they chose in life was to save people. Well, they saved some people, but a lot of people they didn't save, and it's a losing battle. They never were going to save them all. Or maybe they would eventually. I think that's, it's funny. I don't want to seem like too optimistic, but when they were doing those shots and telling people it's like for their own good, and then other people were like being sterilized by the shots, I always had kind of wondered what's going to happen when the earth gets to the point that the medicine can keep people alive much longer. How are they going to, what's going to be the system? And based on the past couple of years, the system seems like it's against new birth. But, I don't want to sound like something good is being done because it's not. I don't believe that anyone's, the oldest person's still 120. So I don't believe anyone's figured out how to go further. But even if they think that they're on the cusp of it, I don't think it's right to play God, as they say, and, sterilize people against their will. I'm not claiming that happened. I'm sure I'd be kicked off YouTube if I did, but just as a theoretical thing, wow, this discussion got really weird, but basically, I don't think that you can, I don't know what's the answer. If I don't think you can tell people they can't live, they can't be born, and I don't think you can kill people, which was Thanos' solution. The next solution would be colonizing Moon and Mars and wherever else. But if people start living thousands and thousands of years, how many planets are we going to need? At some point, it's going to become ridiculous. And then I don't even know how that works. That's just weird concept. This is becoming a scary talk. I don't know. So the people who had the medicine or the technique or the secret to making someone live 1,000 years, would they share that? Would they even take advantage of that? They probably would, honestly. It's weird, though. Weird topic. I'm kind of glad that we're at the end of this ×2, and I can get back to building the puzzle, because I don't know where I went. That was like very unstructured. You can just skip all that. All right, so we did the ×2. Now we have to go to instruction 2. Instruction 2, it looks like we're just putting these aside for the moment, and we're going to grab... By the way, there was... we haven't spun the wheel yet. You know that like wheel that we have? We haven't spun it because nobody's... what's the word? When people post in the chat, then then we spin the wheel and we give out like prizes if someone's name comes up. Just let me see if I can get that wheel to show up. No, it's not there yet. I'll tell you in a minute when the wheel shows up. Right now, it's like a that blank screen is going to be a wheel in a minute. I got to get a better switcher. So right now, I'm just going to start popping out these wheels, which they want an A4 and then 3 A1s. And if you can believe it, there's a ×10. So this is going to get very repetitive. So let me just do the first one, kind of like feel out the procedure. And then I'm going to do, I guess we're going to chat a lot. This would be the perfect time to have like a guest call in, because we're about to make a whole bunch of wheels. All right. A3 ×6. That's just for one of them. So we got to get this number ×10. So what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the 6 is going to make this 10. And then the ×10, what's that going to do? That's going to make it 100. All right. So we're now going to 138 pieces. Looks like that wheel doesn't want to come up tonight. Yeah, all right, I'm back to the instructions. All right, let me try 1 click. I think 1 click is supposed to be the wheel. Yeah, there's the wheel. All right, so... Oh my goodness, the wheel is like touching. I gotta... The wheel was like touching the mic. I gotta remember to push the mic out of the way. Or I just gotta come up with a better system. So there's the wheel. As I can see, it's frozen. So let me get off of that. Hope that I didn't crash my system and start building these things here. All right, good. Nothing crashed, and we're not going to do the wheel again until I get the switcher that works, because this switcher obviously doesn't work. This switcher was from the review program, and the next one I get is also going to be from the review program, but it's much more advanced. It has power, and it has 7 switching slots. But really, it's the power that that I think is going to make it work. It's going to make it work quicker and without error. All right, so just going back to the instructions. It looks like the pins go in from the back. And what I mean by that is the ink end is the last one that the pin goes in. Just kind of crazy, but that's what they want. So the pin has like a little thing on the back that's going to prevent it from going through. And that's not going to lock in the tire. The tire is going to be at the other end. So I'll just do the first pin. I'm just curious if this tire is even going to stay on, considering that the pin is like, all right, there it is. All right, the pin is here, and it does not come out the front. Yeah, well, there's 6 of them, so maybe because there's 6 of them, maybe it's going to work out, but for just one of them, it doesn't look that good. All right, so now we're going to build 10 tires, 5 on each side. We're just building all the tires right now on the first night. Okay. One of them will be easy enough. And we'll check out the first one when it's done. By the way, there's another difference. The worm's eye view camera 3. I think it's a little higher today. What do you think? Like it used to, no, you can still see the ground. I don't know. Feels a little higher to me. I don't know. Might have just broke that piece. All right, well, I still got 2 more pins to go. Am I even putting these in the right way? Maybe I'm supposed to do them this way? Does it matter or they go the same way? It goes in easier this way. So I put the previous one in the wrong way. Really, I put all of them in the wrong way, other than the last one. But I'm thinking if I pull this previous one out, maybe I could fix it. Nope, that thing is stuck in there. All right, I just pushed it all the way in. That's the other possibility. So I put the first 4 in like spokes, but they're really supposed to go in like following the curve of the tire. They go in better that way. Anyway, we found the problem halfway through the first tire, or almost halfway through. So now we got to do a whole bunch more tires. We got to do 9 more tires. So what are we going to talk about? What do you like most about yourself? My hair is pretty nice. Let me just go on to the next question. I just saw in some of these videos I've been making lately, and my hair looks nice. I mean, considering that I never have done anything to it, and I'll be 50 years old in a couple of months, my hair looks pretty nice. What trait immediately draws you to other people? I don't think I get drawn to other people. That's not a thing that I do. I'm going to start making stacks of these. So they're 3A1s and A4, and then 6 pins. I'll make the stacks of tires, and then I'll make the pins, and then I'm just going to slide everything through. Drawn to other people, that's a weird phrase. This whole deck of cards, I'm having argument with most of these questions. Like, are there people who feel drawn to other people? I mean, that sounds to me almost like a cult or something. I mean, I can say what makes like an actor believable, what makes a pitchman trustworthy, what makes you confident in your doctor, but drawn to other people. Are people experiencing that a lot? Like they feel drawn to someone, like a magnetism? That sounds like Jim Jones or Hitler or something. That doesn't sound like part of the modern world. I think people have more like discretion than that. You know what? We can't do this 10 times. We don't have enough. Oh, okay. There's 5 more on the next sheet. All right. So we can do it, I guess. All right. So there's 4, counting the one we made. So 2 more. 2 more of these, which are A1s. 1 more A4. And now we got our first 5-pack. Got a long way to go. All right. Yeah, I'm just going to have to make the question something else. Let's say, what would make you... All right. They're in the Physique 100 show on Netflix, which was this Korean show. It was sort of like... I don't know what it was like. It was sort of like Squid Game, but they were playing for real and nobody actually got too seriously hurt. Anyway, the way they picked teams in that is that athletes voted for leaders. Then after the leaders were picked, the athletes lined up against who they wanted to be their leader, and then the leader took those people, but if there were more than 4, which is how many people a leader needed to make a team, then he chose the 4 from the people who lined up. So let's say I was in that contest, because it's not purely going to be by athletics. The fact that all the games had like academic components or intellectual components, but even if it was all just athletics, well, no, we can't say that. All right, let's just say that format, but we're not talking about athletics. We're talking about like life. Again, I will not choose someone else to lead my life. I will lead my life myself. But, if you were playing that game and you had to pick, like, who would you trust? Well, someone, it's tough to answer because anything I answer, I feel like then someone will try to be that thing. And then as soon as someone tries to be that thing, I'll just erase that from the list of criteria because that's like one of the things you can't be is like to try to be that person. You have to like really be that person. And people should stop trying to be things that they're not. Like, I feel like, and of course I feel like it's the party that I don't vote for, but I feel like a large number of those people in Congress are like, should not be there. Not simply because they're full of shit, money laundering criminals who work for big money rather than represent the real. That's not even the real reason. I just think that they're just like pathetic human beings. Like a lot of them. Like some of them are great. Some of them are like champions. So what makes a person seem like a champion? Probably they can explain what they want to do and they can stick with that thing. Like that's not the only, I mean, obviously there needs to be more to it than that. But maybe not much more because like at that point, after that point, that they can explain what they're for and why they're for it and they'll stick with it. Now, after that, then it becomes, okay, well, what are they for? And then amongst those sort of qualified people, the followers will line up behind the leader that they agree with, but the leader has to have those qualities of like being able to explain what they believe, why they believe it, what they believe, why they believe it, and to be able to stick to it. So you probably can think of some people like that. And those people probably are successful. I remember getting accused when I was like in grade school of not being that person because someone would talk about their football team and I would agree with them, and then someone else would talk about their football team and I would agree with them. But I don't think I was doing anything wrong because I just didn't care. There's so many categories of things that I really don't care. I mean, if you're rooting for a certain team, yeah, I'll help you root for them because I really don't care. So, it's mostly like that. For example, I grew up in my family's house and they liked the Yankees, so I like the Yankees too. And then when I lived on my own, I grew up, I became an adult. For a while, I still watched the Yankees. But eventually I was like, well, I got better stuff to do. But if I go back, visit my parents or wherever and someone's got the game on, I'll watch it. I mean, and I'll enjoy watching it. But I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it because it really doesn't mean anything to me. But I'm not going to object to it because it's like, I'm happy to watch it. I'm genuinely happy. But I also don't care. And there's a lot of stuff like that. Like a lot of times people are like, should we get like vanilla or strawberry or like whatever? And I genuinely couldn't care less. Like sometimes with movies or TV shows, it's like, I want to watch this, I want to watch that. And my feeling is like, I want to sit on the couch, spend some time with you all. So whatever you're watching, that's fine by me. So there's a lot of categories where I would like seem like one of those weather vane people, but it wouldn't be the same categories that people are like voting on. Like I think that I would have, more consistent philosophy when it came down to stuff that actually mattered. Not to say that sports don't matter. If they matter to you, then they matter. By the way, I need to punch out 60 of these. Like we incremented our parts list by 100, and 60 of them are pins. 60 pins. I mean, I don't know how much more I can say about this question. Let me just grab the next question. See what that is. It's got a lot of words, I'll tell you that. The next question is, if there was something you could make everyone on the planet do in the next 24 hours, what would it be? Everyone on the planet in the next 24 hours. By the way, I see it's not updating, so if people were saying stuff in the chat, I wonder if that would have updated. Well, I don't see anything. Okay. So everyone's got to do something in the next 24 hours. It's difficult because not everybody can do everything. Like if I said everybody should sing a song, some people aren't comfortable singing. If I said everyone should listen to a song, some people are deaf. I'm not really sure. I swear, every one of these questions, I start off by talking about why I can't even answer this question. All right, so everyone on Earth is going to do something. I would say pray. That would be nice. And one of the nice things about prayer, which goes beyond the religious aspect of it, is the mental aspect of it. Like, I think some people will use the phrase power of prayer. It's like a sneaky kind of way to say, like, to some people, because it can be ambiguous what it means. Like, to some people, it's the power of the prayer. And to other people, it's the prayer that has power. But, even if you check the Bible, some people would say Jesus was a faith healer. But then Jesus would say, your faith has healed you. Does that mean the faith earned them like a ticket to healing? Or does that mean the faith literally healed them? Because there's many examples of people, going into remission and getting healed and that kind of thing. I actually feel like, of course I do sort of believe in miracles, but at the same time, I don't like healing always being written off as a miracle, because that's like saying that the doctors or the establishment of doctors or the current orthodoxy of the medical field knows for sure that this person is in this state and only a miracle would save them. So they're like, you have to do this $500,000 worth of treatment, and if you don't, you'll die. And you don't do it, and you don't die, and it's like, oh, it's a miracle. I mean, I don't think it's, not so fast there. Maybe they got some sunlight and some, ate some oranges, and I don't know. I mean, maybe there was some other reason they healed. You can't just assume that it's like they buy your medical services or only a miracle will save them. Like even that Miracle Max in The Princess Bride, I mean, he was making that like tablet and he used that like air pump thing. I mean, he was doing some sort of medical procedure. It wasn't purely a miracle. I mean, there was something in that huge pill that they had the Man in Black take, if you're familiar with that movie, The Princess Bride. Anyway, the reason why I would want everyone to pray is not only would it remind everyone on earth that, we're all together here and living under God, I also think that power of prayer thing, it helps people to train their minds. I just want to count how many I have. 6, so I need 4 more. So if everybody would pray, then everyone would know what their goals are. I worry that a lot of people go through life without stopping to think like what their goals are. Like, what are they doing with their life? Are they just getting up every day and following a schedule on without thinking about why they're following it? Or do they have purpose in their life and they know what they want to do, and that motivates them to find what's the next thing that's going to help them with their goal? And their goal could be helping someone else. Their goal could be building a garden that's going to feed the community, or building a bridge that's going to enable commerce. I mean, the goal could be anything, but the point is that, you say it in your prayer, and you ask for help, and I think you're probably going to get it. I don't think, I don't think you're going to say, maybe not the first night, but if you say something in your prayers every night over a period of time, I mean, something's going to happen. You're going to get some sort of results from those prayers. It's not going to be just, you're not going to stay exactly as you are. Something's going to happen. Probably something on the way to your goal, if not complete acquisition of your goal. There were books about this, the power of positive thinking. And oddly enough, these books were right before the Great Depression, the Roaring 20s. This was like a thing that was going on. People were writing books, and they were like, all you got to do is like think and grow rich. I think Napoleon Hill, I think was his name. I think that was the title of his book, like Think and Grow Rich. And it's kind of like that. It's not exactly like that. But if you lived in the 1920s, which came right after the 1910s and right after the 19th century, and so many people just lived with their nose to their grindstone and they never looked up, well, at that time, yeah, you the power, just setting your mind to not being greedy, but your own self-interest would quickly pay off. I mean, that's like kind of the world that they lived in. And I almost feel like that Great Depression was threw quite a wet blanket on that. And that sort of thinking didn't come back into favor for a while, because it was not only the Great Depression, but then it was World War II, and then people didn't need to even think about their own self-interest, because there was a while there where everyone had like jobs, cars, pensions, like everything was going good, like almost too good. It's like that expression, like, hard times create strong men, and strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. It was kind of like that. It's like the people started exploding with productivity in the 20s, and then they got kind of doused with the 30s and the 40s, and then they got some good times, which doused them further. I don't know. That kind of like that. If I say it like that, then it seems like, well, then how come the hard times of World War II didn't pay off more? Well, they did, but they paid off so universally that people forgot that it took work to get there. I'm not saying it takes World War II, but it takes some sort of effort. Like, you can't just be so comfortable. Like, that's not going to work. Okay, so the question was, what would make you, what would you want everyone to do? And my answer would be pray. And I think that it would work because not only would, like, potentially God feel like, oh, wow, everybody prayed. I should work with these people. They're not completely useless. But also, I think all those people praying, they would have something the next day to do. Because if they prayed for it, that's like the first step in like achieving it. But then the next step is doing something, because God helps those who helps themselves. So I think if everyone prayed, the world would be a better place the next day. And then it would get better the next day, and then the next day. And I think, I don't want to say forever. There could be at some point a backlash, but I don't think it's going to hurt if everyone did it today. And I think it's going to be even better, the next day and the next day. I think for a while, it's going to work pretty good. All right, just a reminder, the pins go in the back, the ink goes in the front. So I'm going to flip them over as I complete them. I really, though, I feel like tonight's show is over because I'm not going to do anything after the tires tonight. And I don't know how long the tires are going to take, but you've already seen what's being done here, and all I'm going to do for the rest of the time is like answer questions. It would be like a really great time for people to have like questions in the chat, or like maybe just anything so we can like spin that wheel and play something. But I guess I'll just keep building tires and answering questions, until such time as that happens. I don't think we need to even look at the instructions anymore. It's just a times 10. What we do need to do is remember where pieces we left off on. Oh, you know what? This is instruction 2. That was one thing I hadn't advanced, right? This is instruction 2? Yeah, instruction 2. So we're going to be midway through. No, that's the whole instruction 2. The tires, the entire instruction 2. So tomorrow we're going to be on instruction 3. Sorry if you couldn't see that. I'll just bring that up on screen here. So we're doing instruction 2, which is a times 10. And then the next is instruction 3. So that's where we're going to pick up tomorrow. All right. What's the next question up? What is an unexplored interest you have? That's a good one. Well, I've mentioned before I would like to learn to draw. But I'm not sure I want to take the time that it would take to learn to draw. You see the distinction there? In theory, it sounds great. And I sure wish I'd done it sooner in life. But, and I might do it. I'm going to be retiring in, I don't know, sometime in the next 10 or 20 years. I'm not really sure. I guess I'm like 9 years from being like legally able to retire, but I might work longer because, I don't know, I might. Or maybe I'll switch to part-time, at that point. I don't really know. I think my company would be, depending on the work levels, could be fine with part-time because It's like they don't have to pay for they basically would only pay when my hours are billable. They wouldn't have to pay like 6 days or sick days or days off or just slow work days. It would be like, you got work, I'm there. You don't have work, all right, good. Then I'll do my own thing. Like basically once I can already access my pension, I might as well just like have some flexibility. So when I have some flexibility, on the days when my company doesn't have work, I can start learning about drawing. I'll tell you though, it's something about it. I may never be able to draw because like I was able to program computers like the first time I tried. Like there was never any issue. Like I never had to, like I majored in computer science. I took computer programming courses. I read books, but really I didn't have to. I mean, I would have had no problem programming computers with no training. There's like, it's not really necessary. And there's a lot of things that I don't know about sport, but the sports I did, they didn't really take a lot of training. They took a lot of practice and a lot of like physical training, but they didn't take a lot of like learning how to do them. So the fact that I can't draw, it may not change if I learn. And in fact, I'm not sure I would even like the result because I've seen some people who draw using like methods that other people taught them. And if they follow it all the way through, like they do all the steps and they erase all the sort of shapes that they did along the way and all the like triple and quadruple and quintuple lines, and then they do their inking and their shading, it'll end up looking like a good end product. But I don't think it's the same thing as the person who just likes to draw and they just sit there and they can draw all day and it's good and anyone would like what they draw. The person who like learns from the textbook, I mean, you can tell. There's like, it's just not the same. And I think that's just, drawing is just not a thing that's ever going to happen for me other than in the textbook way. And why do I need to do that? Like, there's a lot of other things I've been able to do. I did, the computer programming, video editing. I'm making these puzzles and voiceovers. It's a lot of stuff I can do that just feels like natural to me. Drawing doesn't. So I'm making a comic book. I'm using 3D models. And you can tell. I mean, I have some good ideas. I have some good poses. I have some things that I want to do, but you can tell that I'm not drawing them and it's not the same. Like, I don't like my comics as much as I like Frank Miller's comics. He draws comics. They're really good, and I wouldn't even say that I'm jealous. I'm like happy that such artists exist in the world, I hope someone's happy with whatever I bring to the world because, I'm not jealous. I mean, the guy can draw, and I'm glad that there's people who can. My wife, by the way, can draw very well. It's a skill that she has. I don't have that skill. All right. I don't even remember what that question was, so I'm going to go on to the next question. Which qualities of yours would you want your children or future children to have? Oh, okay. Paul's got a question. All right. Let me just bring this up here. If I can remember how to do it. So, can I bring up 2 questions at once? All right. Several of these are large puzzles. What is your plan for them? Where are you going to store them all? Can't really rebuild them like Legos or a puzzle, kind of like one and done. Yeah, that is a huge issue with the wooden puzzles. So some of them go to Salvation Army. Some of them go to my dad, who then usually gives them away to other grandchildren, like his grandchildren, my nieces and nephews. But the wooden ones, right now, they're all in a shelf in my house. And I had planned to have a bonfire and burn them. But I don't think I can do that now because 2 houses on my block burnt down. And I just think that now it's in bad taste. Like I can't, you know? Like I can't, like first of all, I just really feel bad for those families. But second, it just doesn't seem right, like to use fire for entertainment while there's like, it's really it's a bad situation. I mean, the people are fine. Everyone got out okay. I don't think there's, as far as I know, I assume that their insurance is covering it and there's no problem. But it's a weird thing because the houses are sitting on the block like still, I mean, they're working on them every day, but I don't know for how long they're going to look like they were obviously burned, you know. And I mean, I'll still have barbecues, but like the bonfire of these puzzles that I was planning, I don't think that can happen. Not while these houses look like this. Like, even if everyone's emotionally past it, it's like still going to be wrong, I think. So, all right. So that's the answer to that. Can you rebuild them? You definitely can't rebuild them. Oh, so the question, what qualities should the children have? I think I just broke this pin, by the way. Yeah, that one's done. I don't know if there's extras. There probably are, but I'm just going to push it in all the way. Yeah, there we go. That's good enough. All right, so I like to think of myself as a hard worker. Like I had a paper out when I was in high school. Before that, I used to go to the grocery store and bag grocery for tips. I don't know if that's still like a legal thing to do, but you know, in the 70s, I guess it was legal. And then in the 80s, I had, paper out. And then in college, I worked all through college, mowing lawns, working at a grocery store, working as a security guard. I told some stories about that before. And then midway through the 90s, that's when I started working in Manhattan, and I've still been working ever since. So the idea of just getting up and going to work every day and being productive, I mean, hopefully it also pays the mortgage, but that's what I want for my kids, and I think I need to work on that. I think I need to make them do more jobs. Like, you know, the temptation is there to just do the work yourself because, you know, as I said, I like to think of myself as a hardworking person, but I'm kind of like taking something away from them by not assigning them work, because I'm taking away that like work ethic that they need to develop. You might see there's people like on, I don't really go on Instagram, but I heard about other people who go, and it's like called Rich Kids of Instagram or something like that. And it's basically these kids of celebrities that they just completely waste their lives. All they do is they buy fashion clothes and they go on vacations and they go to big like Hollywood parties and they spend money and this kind of stuff. And none of them do anything with their life other than just brag about how great their life is on Instagram. There probably should be a balance. You probably should have something that you do. Like, I know that people make fun of the Oscars, like that people show up the Oscars to all like compliment each other. But I actually think that, even though I don't personally watch it, I think it's a good thing because it's a party. Yes, they're wearing like suits and ties and they're giving each other awards, but it's an industry party. I mean, it's the people that they work with. It's the way that they work. They're talking about what was the good work this year. I mean, it's not a bad thing. And you don't have to work in Hollywood. You could have whatever your industry is, or whatever your company is, or whatever it is that you do. Maybe you do karaoke night, or open mic night, or whatever. Whatever it is that maybe you've got a stream on the internet where you put puzzles together at midnight every night. I don't know. Whatever you do, you do something. So I want my kids to do something, and I don't want it to be video games unless they're going to work for a video game company, or they're going to do a Twitch stream, or it's in some way going to be like productive. And I'm not saying that just for the monetary reasons. I just don't want them to be, the video games to just be a way to like follow someone else's script, because if all you are is a video game player, you're not really doing anything. I know that sounds like unfair to say, because it is like kind of an education the first playthrough. I mean, maybe if you're playing like roller coaster tycoon or some game like that, maybe you're learning something. The first couple of plays through of Madden, you're probably learning something, but at some point you're just following someone else's like to-do list when you do a video game. So part of being productive should be making your own to-do list. And you could follow someone else's list at your like 8 hour a day job, but then you're going to go home and there's going to be something that you're going to be passionate about. Maybe you coach Pee-wee football, or maybe you, I don't know, maybe you do paintings or something like that. Like I'm just like grasping here to see what the thing is, but you can probably think better than me what your thing might be. So I think, am I still answering the question, like, what do I want kids to do? My kids to do? I want my kids to be workers. They don't have to be hand-to-mouth workers. They could have, like, money-in-the-bank workers, but I want them to have some sort of work ethic. I think that's important, like, aspect of life that people overlook, especially nowadays. A lot of people are like, let the robots do the work. I'm just going to, chill out all day. That's not how you live your life. Life doesn't work like that. You're not going to find happiness and reward, and it's just not how humans are meant to be. You can't just... they've done experiments with in the animal world where they just give the animal everything it needs. It doesn't work like that. Some of those animals end up jumping off like cliffs. Like, can you imagine that? Like, an animal can't find purpose in life because humans gave them too much food. It's not always like that. There's actually even, I shouldn't say this, but there's an element to it. For example, there's a raccoon whisperer. And this guy in Canada, he feeds raccoons. They come on his porch. Retired police officer. And the raccoons are all either females or their children. So the male raccoons don't show up. So I don't know if that sounds like a dig, but somehow it's less of a problem when a woman does that, because I guess raising kids then could be the vocation, and I suppose it could be for a male too, but there needs to be some vocation. It can't be just getting up and getting food. It needs to be there needs to be some other purpose. If you're getting the food and sharing it with your family, that could be the purpose. But if you're just getting it and laying back, somehow that's not enough. One thought, maybe put together one of those escape room puzzles, put it together and work on the solution. We've done a few. They're good fun. Yeah, I should do that. I had one of those once. It was supposed to be like a way to give someone a gift, like a gift card, and they would have to solve the puzzle. So I did do one of them. But yeah, I should do another one. That's kind of like a high pressure one, though, to do on a stream. You know, you could fail. But you know, I've failed on even just these assembly puzzles. So yeah, I should do one of those one night. I definitely should. I guess what would be embarrassing is if it takes me like, if it says it has a par of 40 minutes and then it takes me 10 hours. But I'll do it. I'll try. We'll see what happens. All right, I'm on the last tire, and then it's going to be the end of the tonight's stream. And then I'm going to hopefully figure out how these cameras work. I can't guarantee I'll have time. You know, I still have a full-time job. Today I had time. You know, I basically, after 5:30 today, nothing came up at my work. But that's unusual. It's not usually like that. Usually you're lucky if I'm done by 10. But today was, I don't know, it was Monday. I don't know. It was a pretty easy day. All right, we're almost done with these pins. Man, this camera looks bad tonight, huh? This camera too. I can't look at it. It's so bad. Got to work on that camera. That might just be a bad camera for this purpose. It's a good camera for surveillance, probably. Wide field of view. Everything is bright. But it's not relaxing to look at. And also it doesn't help that it only has the desk. I'm just going to go back to that camera a minute. So all you get, first of all, these white sheets are super reflective. This is obviously overlit. I mean, they don't even look yellow like they're supposed to. But here's the other issue. All you've got is the desk and the pieces. From camera 1, you've also got the background. You don't have that much of the background, but you've got some. And it's some type of art that somebody spent a lot of time getting right. And it's like an anchor, you know? It's like on a basketball team, you need a quarterback. On a basketball team, you need a point guard. On a football team, you need a quarterback. And this is like, this backdrop, I don't know, it's something. I guess today, this one is better, the box puzzle, whereas when you go to camera 2, what have we got? We've got a few pieces here. We've got the book. We've got the sheets, which look for some reason terrible. And then we've got a desk, which is okay. Really, there's not that much. I feel like that camera's not that great tonight. This low camera, I think it's not a bad camera, but often when I work, my hands block the view. So that one's not that good tonight. So then you're left with camera 1, which is why it's camera 1, because it's like the most consistent. Anyway, that's the show for tonight. Maybe we'll continue this puzzle tomorrow, or maybe it'll be a while before we see it. I suspect that we'll probably just do this puzzle till it's done. But whatever we do, that's what we're going to do. And I'm not making any promises either way. Good night.